What's good, everybody? Welcome to Wicked Crazy Pinfalls. We've been a little bit backwards recently. We're taking a break. What's good, guys? How you doing? We got the man himself, the defending, undisputed Wicked Crazy Pinfalls podcasting champion, Big Money Drew. And you got my former co-host for Body Slam Pod NXT post show, just because he got sick of watching NXT. Jameis, what's good?
Also a former NXT
yeah,
show.
And also we have
who got
Little Baby Throwback here. Yes, he's got a nickname now, so it ain't Birdie, it's Little Baby Throwback. So we're gonna get him a shirt. We should get merch for him, this little one.
We need to get him a backwards baseball cap. I told you that's the the matching. How's everybody doing tonight?
So first and foremost, congratulations to Drew on setting a date. I am very, very proud of you. I'm very happy for you. We've had extensive conversations about relationships and stuff like that, and I'm very excited.
I'm so happy for him. And the few conversations he and I have had behind the scenes, that's something he's been waiting for a while.
And the thing about it is that he's been with me through the pure hell, and Amanda has too. Like, both of them knew that at one point I wanted to just to quote a line from Seth Rollins, burn it down, burn Wicked Crazy Pinfalls to the ground, and just didn't care. And both of them are the reasons why we're still doing this. So, but now I have another reason because of him. So, why don't we just? Yeah, so why don't we get into the nitty-gritty of it? Saraya in AEW.
I have words.
Oh, my God.
Drew, you always have words. This man pontificates more than I do. Hold on, which way?
The other way.
These cameras really...
You know what you have to do? Because it took me a while to figure this out. You have to remember, while you're looking at yourself, it's reversed. So if I want to point to the right side of me, I have to point this way. So I know that throwback is to my left, even though I'm pointing to the right. If you're pointing, it's muddy. But
okay, this man pontificates more than I do.
I almost feel like that's not true at all.
It really isn't true.
It really isn't, though. I mean, how many times on the NXT post show for Body Slam I've gone on rants and you're like privately messaging me like, "Hey, you need to slow down, relax." It's funny too because
how many times do I pontificate in a normal conversation?
Every day.
We're not on it.
Yeah, every day when it comes to something funny.
Drew, we've had maybe 5 deep conversations. How many tangents do those go on? About 100.
Yeah. But I mean, it doesn't bother me. I'm more of a listener than a talker anyway. But sometimes I need to say words. So
yeah,
I'm secure in being a guy and everything. Out of everybody here that's not off of this whole podcast and stuff, Drew's the only one on the phone that's heard me cry on the phone. Only one. Anakin hasn't. Rob hasn't. Yeah, no, and there was a specific reason.
So I'm completely different as a podcast host versus how I am in a normal conversation.
Oh, I'm the same person.
Just in how I carry myself. Patrick, how many times have you heard me cuss on there?
I've lost count. You're trying not to sometimes.
I cuss every other word.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying
I just converse differently when I'm on screen for a litany of reasons. But
I mean, wrangling everything back to everything. But yeah, Saraya.
Has words.
Britt DMD was saying, that is a game changer. If you haven't watched it, and I've catch some highlights for AEW because I kind of try to at least. The former Paige is in AEW. She is all elite. I can't wait to see what they do with her. It's about time. I think, WWE was extremely cautious with her. Sorry if I'm coughing. But I think it's well overdue that she got her opportunity to shine. And I haven't read much into everything yet, But when I saw that and everybody was talking about it, I had to see it. But that's just one insane thing. I can't wait.
If you look behind me, there's a chair.
I know.
And this chair says September 21st, 2022 on it. I was at Soraya's debut at Grand Slam, and that was an incredible moment because that's where I bought this hat and other things. I might look like a little bit of an AEW show today, and I'm gonna sound like one, that's for sure. But I have WWE belts behind me.
He's got a shill over here. He's no longer the big dog tribal chief.
But he's got the most important belt on there that he has to defend soon to look at Crazy Pinfalls one.
Right there. You know this big money Drew? That's because he's a Matt Hardy shield, just like it's an AEW shield.
I just think it's going to be fun to see what production does with her and stuff. I read the tweet about that people were retweeting that her boyfriend was the one that let her use his music to enter. It's the same thing. Have you ever been on watch A&E or whatever is one of those shows, and there's a show called Farmhouse Fixers. It has Jordan Knight from Backstreet Boys. They use their music for his show. It's the same thing with Soraya too.
Music all the time. If you look at
some I get yelled at by the crowd in the back. New Kids on the Block. Sorry.
If you look at some of Cher's biggest hits, a couple of those were written by Richie Sambora, who was the bass player for Bon Jovi, just because they were dating at the time.
Yeah. I can't wait to see what they do. It's well overdue. Everybody's been waiting for this. She got a really good pop on this, so and just went from there.
The pop at Grand Slam was incredible. And I said this on I don't remember which show it was. I think it was Beards, Between Two Beards. It's harder to be genuinely, truly surprised by something when you're watching a wrestling show live in the building, because production has the cameras facing the stage, so you're like, oh well, something is going to happen because the cameras are facing the stage.
The crowd swell and the pop telegraphs it for people at home if the camera's not on it yet. But something's happening.
So you could tell in the building something's about to happen because the cameras are facing the stage. But there was that chatter about Soraya.
By the way, if you're watching and you hear this guy snoring, I do apologize. I think he's a little milk drunk.
That's okay. We should all be drunk tonight.
Hey, I'll grab a drink after.
Yeah, you're in the middle of a hurricane.
And yet,
we need to get that. I gotta find that thing right now because as much as it's serious, we need to make people laugh.
And yet, my Smirnoff's still good.
I'm glad that everything is okay and you're doing good down there.
Thank you, man.
So it's that moment was incredible. And I was so jealous of everybody at All Out last year. Getting all those debuts, and I was able to get one, so I was really excited about that. Now the words that I have are for this week, because there's no, as much of a shell as I may look or sound, we all know the AEW women's division is not oh, wait a minute, we have another person that just is joining us. He went away for a moment, but I'll pop him on. It's the franchise player, Bad Blood.
I'm my boy BJ.
So I'll wait for him to, I think he may have disappeared for a second.
If y'all haven't noticed, I'm a lot more relaxed on the stream tonight than usual.
Oh yeah, I'm very happy about that. My main thing for today is there he is. Okay, let's bring him in.
Yo, what's up, boys?
Hey,
BJ over here on the bottom with us peasants.
Bro, I am so glad you're safe over there, Jameis, because Florida is
Thanks.
fucking wet as shit right now.
I'm so glad. I'm very thankful you checked in on me. That meant a lot.
Bro, like I said, man, your family, it's people, you're my people.
Yeah. By the way, he's trying to burp, so that's why I'm off camera right
Oh,
now.
shit.
I'm also trying to burp.
I have,
we're all
No.
trying to burp.
I have my pants
This
down. You
one's
guys don't
trying-
want to see that, so
The baby face running right now on my own show. He's trying to burp right now. So
He is a baby face.
yeah.
literally.
And of course,
So-
we got the franchise player over here to knock his lights out with a chair.
Man,
Imagine the heat.
Jeez,
baby eats all that.
that's heat.
Baby
that's
eats
heat.
all that. Curb stomped by a baby, that'd be horrible.
We should have that. We should have that throwback. We should have the that's heat thing to put up every once in a while. I don't know how to download things on here, but that's your thing. So yeah, so the women's division in AEW, we know it's not great. We know that.
There's the understatement of the year.
Man,
Okay. Sorry, somebody's phone was ringing. It's an understatement. Yeah, we know that. For the last 3.5 years, well, hell, it's been 4 years now, right? Or is it the third year? I'm trying to remember.
2018.
2018?
Third year, 2019.
2019, right. So for 3 years, 95% of Dynamite has been around the 9:10, 9:15 minute, a women's pre-tape. Either the champion or another feud, somebody.
I'm gonna make Drew feel very lonely. Here, let's do
Aw.
this.
Don't do that to me.
that's me.
Oh,
Wow.
that's that. I don't know if that's what he meant to do. But
Yeah,
let's
I
bring him
don't think he
back.
meant to vanish, but there he is.
There we go. That's what you wanted to do. So 9:15 women's pre-tape, 9:18. Well, not even because it would be 30 seconds. So 9:15 and 30 seconds. Then women, theme song for X woman comes, and then they come to the ring, and then the next woman comes out, and then they have a match that starts, and within a minute there's an ad break, and then when they come back, there's about 4.5 to 5
You
minutes.
doing okay there, BJ?
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. I'm actually on a work phone call, so I'm gonna mute myself for a second.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So would they come back from commercial, and then it's another 4.5 minutes, maybe 5, because a majority of the match happened during the commercial break, and then finish, and then no other woman thing happens. This is what Dynamite has been 95% of Dynamite's existence. This past Wednesday, yesterday, something new was done with the women's division that AEW has never done before.
Out of necessity.
And I would say, well, what do you mean by necessity?
So, I heard that I didn't watch because I had no power. I just got my power back like 2 hours ago after like 26 hours of no power. So yay, electricity. There's light. All right, lighter than my future. But okay, so
lights and internet, very important.
So I still need to shower, but so from my understanding is it was a very women focused show, and with that they had to makeshift the show because of how much of their talent live in Florida in the path of this hurricane. So whatever show they have planned, other than Bandito Jericho, did not happen. So out of necessity, they had to scramble with what they had, and maybe
Well, you know
that's
what?
why they did what they
If
did.
regardless of what reason it was, it happened because there were plenty of other guys that could have just thrown a regular match. They've done it before. We know that. They'll
Are
take
you
a
telling
match.
me you don't want Billy Gunn versus Danhausen? Because that sounds awesome.
Well, that does sound awesome, actually. I'm not going to lie about that. However, that would be the match that everyone goes, oh, that could have been on Rampage, and this could have been in place of a women's segment. So, where that would have always been the case, because that has been the case for many Dynamites previously, last night, Soraya comes out. I'm gonna have to get used to that. Soraya comes out. She talks. She brings out women. 4 women. Already, 5 women on the show. More than most Dynamites.
And the thing what I noticed also inside the ring, you had a vast majority of former WWE talent in the ring, and a vast majority homegrown AEW talent on the outside too.
Tony Storm, Saraya.
Can I butt in for a second here? Because that brought up an interesting point that I'm just going to rant about.
Go right ahead.
Professional wrestling historically is an industry where people jump from company to company. The whole model for 50 years before it went global was, okay, Ric Flair's in Portland working Roddy Piper one night. The next night he's going to be in Florida working
Steve Kern.
Steve Kern, sure, let's go with that. Hey, Skinner rule back in his day. If that's a shot, you watch your mouth. But and then he'd go to St. Louis area, work Barry Windham before Barry Windham was Barry Windham, make him look like $1 million at the Chase or whatever venue. He would go, and then people would go from territory to territory. Because the demographic I'd never seen before, it kept their character fresh without them having to change anything up. And then 20 years later, when it's global, Vince McMahon takes everybody from their territories. So he goes and gets Valentine. He goes and gets Piper. He goes and gets whoever. And then from there, he goes and gets the Bulldogs from Stampede. That's not really my point. So from there in the 90s, you get it was a big deal when Lex Luger shows up at the Mall of America right after WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big deal when Hulk Hogan jumps. It's a big deal when Vader goes to WWF from WCW.
By the way, big boy.
It is a industry based on going from company to company historically every time. Why are we so focused on? And then not to mention, until WWE had a more or less monopoly that went against antitrust laws, but that's a different discussion. So once WWE gets the monopoly, that's the only place to work to make money in the States. So everybody's going to go there. They hoarded talent. So this all ex-WWE, are they not supposed to sign talent? Are these talents not supposed to work? It's not.
They open Pandora's box.
Guys.
No, I agree. I fucking 1000% agree with you. Like, as a wrestler,
if they're going to make your show better, you sign them. You don't care where they come from. By the way, I was saying I do pontificate. That was what I was doing.
Let me, before you keep going, let me just say this much. I was just going to say this because I was saying former WWE talent in AEW I was saying people are going to look at it still as like a divided. But I'm just trying to point out that it's interesting that these people who used to work for one of the highest end companies for the longest time is now in AEW with AEW grown talent. To me, it reminds you of one type of era in WWE, and it was the Attitude Era. So I'm saying for the women's division in AEW, this might be that type of era where the big name stars like Taker and stuff like that, which could fit, Britt Baker mold, and Soraya's like Mick Foley, for example, they're bringing people up underneath them. I know it's a horrible example, but I'm trying to make it seem make you understand. I'm trying to make you understand that they're going to bring more people up up,
Oh
and
no,
that's
I
what they're
agree.
primarily
That's
going to
not
do.
what my rant is. My rant is that these people who go, they're only signing ex-WWE talent. Well, WWE had signed every talent on the market.
You know what's
Are
funny
you
about that though? The people
Are
always
you
the
not supposed to
tribalism is
fill out a
ridiculous.
roster?
The tribalism is ridiculous. People are always like, "Oh, they're ex WWE, they're ex this, they're ex that." Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys want to really get down to brass tacks, the WWE,
It's
the
ex-Ring of Honor.
WWF was a friggin' territory of the NWA. So if
Right.
you want to get crazy, you want to get technical about it, the NWA, Ric Flair, and all those guys, look, that was the originator of professional wrestling, the NWA, as a territory. So let's break brass tacks. Vince isn't the god of wrestling like everyone says he is. Vince didn't start wrestling. What Vince did was start sports entertainment. So when people jump from one place to another, it's like, yo,
Which is just a
I got
different
tired of working
ideology
at
and philosophy.
I got tired of working at Fox 12 News, and friggin' Nike offered me a position. I went to Nike. So does that mean now because I don't work for Fox 12, I'm a horrible person? I should go kill myself? No. I'm going where I'm going to make money.
And the funny thing is that my rant was going to be pretty much what, to piggyback off of you guys, it's not even just about the WWE, ex-WWE, whatever, because the thing is that there are so many divisions of wrestling fans that even within the AEW landscape, there are different divisions of AEW fans, because there are a lot of people who will see last night's women's half hour, a women's half hour on AEW Dynamite. What a surprise, legitimately.
Yeah.
For whatever reason that it needed to be there. Because it didn't. It could have been something else. And Tony went, you know what? Here's Saraya, here's Britt Baker, here's a women's match, 9 to 9:30. What the hell? That's something that does not happen. So now not everybody, but like there's so many people who are like pro women's wrestling going, oh, that segment last night, oh, that was so terrible, oh, that was awful. And we know that this is a company that is very mindful of what people are saying, very mindful. This is a company that probably, if I was Tony Khan, I'm going, you know what? Nearly everybody has said, we need more women. We need more women stuff on the show. So you know what? Tonight, yes, there's a hurricane and there's extenuating circumstances. Tonight, I'm going to do it. Saraya, you go out, you bring out these women. Britt, you go out, you bring these women. Segment, match, whole half hour for you guys, 9 to 9:30. And then I'm going to get online and I'm going to see, oh my God, those promos were awful. Oh my God, the match sucked. Oh my God, this. Oh my God, this. Negative, negative, negative. What the fuck are you expecting? You got to give some rope for them to pull so that this way they have an idea of what the hell they want to do with these segments on TV. You can't just be... This is legitimately the first time there's been this many women and this much time devoted to the AEW women's division on Dynamite. The first time. 3 years it took them.
I have a lot to say about that, but I'll let you finish.
Yeah, so, there have been like little segments here and there throughout the show and whatever before, but this is like a dedicated 30-minute women's slot this time. And everyone's shitting on it. So now the guy who's very online and very clued into what people are saying, if I'm him, I'm going, oh shit, that might have been a bad idea, actually. And this is a problem because, listen, people who are watching this and people in here, people in here don't subscribe to tribalism, and I'm very happy about that. You've got to let this shit go. It's a different company. They do things differently. And they listen, for the most part. They listen to what people are saying. They pivoted with the Acclaimed. It wasn't the right thing to do in the moment because Why the hell are you going to change the match on the fly right there in the building? You make their do a rematch, and that's what they did, and they finally got the acclaimed titles at Grand Slam. Great. They pivot and they change things. They got rid of the Nightmare Family stuff back then. They got rid of what the Dark Order used to be. They put Brody Lee in. They did all these amazing things. This company has the capabilities to actually do the things that the fans want. Now the fans wanted more women. They wanted more devotion to the women's division. Here we go. Here's Saraya. Promos. The promos, listen, were they great? No, they weren't. I'm not saying the segment was perfect. I'm not saying the segment was perfect. But to start, you've got to give them some leeway. You can't just be immediately, you got to give them leeway. You can't immediately just be like, oh, that sucked. That was terrible. Whatever. Okay, it wasn't great, but it was an improvement from what we've seen for 3 years on Dynamite, and it's a step in the right direction. Something is going off, and it is loud as hell. I don't know.
It's probably the water running here because
Sounds like a garbage disposal.
No, it's water.
Like that.
I agree with everything you're saying, Drew. 1,000%.
Somebody else take it.
1,000%.
Oh,
No. Finish what you're saying, but I agree with you because you and I have had these conversations a lot. So everything you're saying, bro, I'm 100% behind you.
I'm going to agree and disagree.
Go right ahead.
Now, ask how that's possible. You've never had a conversation with me if you don't think that's possible for me to do.
Exactly.
So, I agree in terms of you have to. I'm going to use one example. I'm just going to throw out there. Abaddon. Tremendous character, understands her character, understands her character's role, knows how to convey the character the correct way. Great character work, but she is not a good worker. And every time people say Abaddon should be given TV time, the counterpoint becomes she's not very good. The issue is if she's working once a month on a taped show for YouTube, she's not getting any reps. How is she going to improve? At least the character's there to be interested. So how is she going to improve? How are people in this division going to improve if they're not given adequate time on a consistent enough basis to work? You have to work through the kinks. Because they weren't on the independents long, and because they're a new company and don't really have their own performance center and their own system yet, you have to let them work through the kinks on live television. That's how Jay Cargill's gotten better. You have to do that with these people.
Right.
So I agree that you have to give this division time, and I wish more people would understand that. I'm not picking on Abaddon. I'm actually an Abaddon fan. There's an Abaddon t-shirt right in my closet over there. I'm not picking on her, but that's just the most extreme example that come to my mind.
Yes, I've heard that too. So yeah.
Because how can you expect her to get better if she doesn't get regular reps in? The whole point is repetition, learning, and making it muscle memory. That's what makes the best wrestlers the ones that are 10 years experienced.
Bad boy.
So my where I disagree is I don't think Saraya should have debuted yet. And I say this because she's 2 weeks in. Now, I didn't watch Wednesday, like I already said. So if I'm wrong, somebody's going to correct me, and I would expect them to. And there's a decent chance I'm wrong. So did she get physical on Wednesday?
No.
So that's 2
honestly,
weeks.
it was like she was a fucking commissioner again,
So I'm right with what I was thinking, where my thought process was going. We're 2 weeks in, and she's yet to get physical. They made sure not to touch her the first week at Grand Slam. If she is not ready to work, and you don't have a clear role for her, you do not make her a Stevie Night Heat type character. I don't know if any of you three remember that. Back on the old Sunday Night Heat, Steven Richards was a regular. And he randomly came out one week and started making matches because it's his show and he's Stevie Night Heat. Nobody gave him general manager power. He just randomly started making matches. So it's one of the it made no sense as much as I actually enjoyed the Stevie Night Heat stuff.
Yeah.
So if you don't have a direction for Saraya, and you don't have a promo, and you don't have a story to tell with her, and she's just making matches, this is a missed opportunity, and you should have waited till she got cleared. And I know you said earlier, and this is what prompted this thought, that you were excited to see a debut. I went to most of the COVID shows because I used to live very close to Daly's place, and I was at Daly's place before AEW hit a lot, just for constant stuff. So it's an easy venue for me to get to. So I went to as many shows as I could. I saw a ton of debuts, including Sting. The initial pop is great. It's how you follow up on it that makes it mean something, or it's just another debut. And I feel like they've already started to miss the boat on Saraya. While I like that it was a device to get the women more time, there's ways to get the women more time without debuting somebody with no plan on how to use them, which seems to be a common theme with AEW in general, and that's something they need to fix. Because guys are going to get lost in the shuffle. That's the nature of the business. You're not giving these performers chances to not get lost in the shuffle. As for the bad promo, I don't think it's Saraya's fault. Having not stepping in front of a live audience in 5 years, there's going to be rust. There's going to be cobwebs to shake off. It happens. Sometimes you just don't have it that night. But overall, I don't think they put her in the best position to succeed at all. Her or her character going forward. And I don't like that she already feels like a GM again, just without the role. Because AEW doesn't want to do those roles anyway. So why is she just randomly making matches? Because they're not going to make her a GM.
So this is what I was going to say. So she didn't actually make the match herself. So in the segment before they get to the match, she says that Tony talked to her. So she didn't go, okay, here's what's happening right now, like what would happen normally in WWE, where like somebody just says, let's just have a match now, and a ref comes down. She said in the promo, she spoke to Tony. Tony cleared this. So this was not her saying, get a ref down, we're going to do this.
She spoke to Tony, and Tony cleared her idea. So basically, she did make the match, but it was already sanctioned by Tony.
Well,
so
okay, you can say
why is she going to Tony to make matches for other people? Like, it makes no sense, and they did not put her in a good position to succeed. And I would have held off on the debut. The news would have broken, but it wouldn't have been the end of the world. I would have held off on the debut long enough to actually have a tangible plan for her to go with. I don't think they put her in a good position to succeed, and I don't think it did anybody favors. You could have gotten that match and dedicated that much time to the women without having to sacrifice Paige's character before you even reestablish it. Excuse me, Saraya's character before you even get a chance to reestablish it. I don't like it.
Well,
I mean, it's
respectfully, I'll say I got to see the debut, so I'm a little biased. Sorry.
Fair enough.
I mean, for me, it's just going to be interesting to see where they go. Honestly, it's a good name for them to have to give more attention to the women's division. I think personally, and this is going to sound crazy, I think AJ would have been a better choice if Punk was on good terms, if she would consider not being a wrestler.
What's her contract status with WoW? Because I know she works behind the scenes running it. That may be you can't work with another televised promotion. I think if AJ Lee wanted to be in a major promotion again on screen, she would have been in the last couple of years already.
Well, I was going to say is that I think that she would just be like what she did with Daniel Bryan a little bit, kind of that, where she would be just running around and stuff, but with Punk. But it's just there's multiple things, but I think just for that big name that you would want to come back, I think Punk at one point Punk and AJ were at the same. So, I mean, it's awesome that she's back. It's awesome that it's a game changer for them. Do I see the grand scape of it doing anything? It'll help people, but it won't help them to push it unless it's done right, like you said.
It all comes down to booking philosophy. You can put as many eyes on that women's division as you want, but unless there's a clear concise philosophical change in how they book the division, Paige is just another. Soraya is just another body. Sorry, it's gonna take me a while to get used to the name change, but she's just another body. She's a spokesperson for the current philosophy, basically. Until I see a clear shift in how they book their division, no amount of signing is going to do anything because signings don't mean the long term energy and effort it takes into booking a good division. It just doesn't. You could go sign however many women's free agents you want, but unless there's a clear booking change and how they lay out their shows with not putting them in the same time slot every week, your women's division is going to have the same issues. Maybe the in-ring work will be better. That doesn't really change much in the grand scope.
No, it really doesn't. So take a shift. I've seen reports, I'm not 100% sure, that Goldberg and Brock will be at Crown Jewel.
No. No.
I'm not
No, I
even
have to cut
commenting
you
on
off.
this.
I have to cut you off. And you know what's so funny? It
I
leads
wanted to
the
say it
second
just to
thing-
get cut off.
the
I really
second
wanted
thing
to.
that I needed to rant about. It's so funny that you brought that up just now.
I had something in my pocket. I was going to set something up. You know me.
Fuck Zero News. I'm saying it right now. Fuck Zero News because listen to me.
Not right there, ladies and gentlemen.
Listen to me, everybody. Okay. We've got if there's one thing that kind of makes
But by the way,
Twitter
before
in
you start,
general-
I like teeing up with stuff I see just if it sets somebody off. And
well,
I saw
yeah,
this, I was like,
working.
somebody's going to go off.
It's working because this idiot now gets to tweet any motherfucking thing that comes out of his brain or her. I don't know if it's a man or a woman. What?
Just use they there for the sake of it.
Yes. Whatever the motherfuck comes out of their brain. And all of a sudden, it's the topic of the fucking day on Twitter. And it is absolutely insane that Kevin Dunn was trending today because of this motherfucker. Because they said, "Oh well, I've been told Kevin Dunn's out of WWE," and you don't probably you didn't even
I've
have
seen
internet
it.
or anything, so you didn't see this. All day today, people are talking about Kevin Dunn being out of WWE because of this fucking idiot who gets to go on Twitter, do these bombs, set off these bombs, and then move on to the next thing that he or she, they, is lying about. So, fuck you, because you've been called out by everybody, but then there's
Can you be any more candid, Drew?
Yeah, really. But then, of course, there's the tribalist shit stains and all of the idiots on Twitter that believe literally anything that anybody says and take it to heart. So, Sean Ross Sapp is reporting something from Zero News. Zero News reported this has literally happened. This is not a joke. Or people think this is like the same thing with Brad Shepard, and it's the same thing with Billy Body.
Oh, I've got Brad Shepard stories for you out there.
Yeah. All these stupid idiots who think that they have a little bit of clout in the game, they're going to tweet literally anything. You know what Zero News said? Zero News said there's no way in hell that Roman Reigns leaves Clash as the champions. This is what he said. He said that. And then also goes, plans change and all these things. And people believe this. People believe this. It's absolutely crazy. And it puts such a bad taste in my mouth. It's such, journalism. There's such a thing called journalistic integrity. Zero News, Brad Shepard, Billy Body. These people do not have an ounce of it, and yet they have these cult-like followers who believe literally everything they said, spread all this misinformation. And, I said this tweet today, like, it's so horrific how quickly misinformation spreads these days. that Kevin Dunn is trending on Twitter because this one person said that he was gone from the company, and 3,000, 4,000 people retweet it, comment, like,
Dude,
spread
but
it.
Zero News said Kevin was done.
Fuck you, douchebag. So, yeah, so it's like it's got to stop. It ties back to what Bad Blood was saying before. The tribalism. All this shit has to stop. Please.
And
Don't
it
believe the
derives
bullshit.
from tribalism. All the people you mentioned specifically are usually anti one company. And so, because it confirms a lot of narrative bias, people will believe what they want to believe anyway.
Yeah.
But it confirms their worldview of professional wrestling, their perception of reality. Their
Even
perception is
Brody
reality.
is mad about this. You can hear him.
I just saw it and I was like, oh, this is going to be a good thing just to set somebody off. I was like, if Brock was really going to come back in Goldberg, they would just make something huge about it before now, with like a little over a month and a half or month or something like that with Crown Jewel coming up. It doesn't make any sense. The big thing that's going on right now, there's two of them, is the White Rabbit, which everybody's going crazy for, and I can't wait to see that if that is who it is at Extreme Rules. And the woman figure in NXT. Now, I'm the NXT dude here. I want to know who that is. I really want to know badly because of the fact that if they are part of the dyad, there's multiple people they could put in that just to make sense.
This man gives me a very low quality picture and says, "Put this on the screen for Robbie and I."
What was it? Oh, it was the figure of the woman?
Yeah, while I was producing his podcast the other week.
Yeah, well, Throwback, I'm actually interested in because I'm sorry, I'm not able to watch everything all the time. I really want to know what your opinion was on stripping Solo Sikoa of the NXT North American Championship. Because
it was dumb as shit.
Oh, man.
It was dumb because you absolutely had a golden goose that literally you could have on both brands and promote both brands on two different major networks. You had Fox, you have them on Fox with the Bloodline with that title. You're giving a rub on that title to make it look more like higher end. And then you put him back on Tuesdays in NXT, and there you go. You let him defend that title.
My question is,
it'll bring the casual fan over.
So if the match Solo Sikoa won the belt and wasn't sanctioned, what would have happened if Riddick Moss had beaten him in the sanctioned match 3 days later?
Moss they would end up trying to do a fatal triple threat match at Halloween Havoc at some point, because now they're doing a ladder match.
But it makes no logical sense in the story. If he wasn't sanctioned champion, why did they sanction a match a couple days later?
Yeah, he doesn't.
Stupid. That's why.
Yeah, and this is the thing I want to see. I want to know who that is for
that's
the dyad.
That's not a bad pixelated picture. That's actually
it's blocking my eyes like a Mike Wazowski.
Oh. But yeah, so and I wish Bad Blood was here, but on, I think it was Monday's Raw show. I don't remember what it is now. All my days are crazy. I said, if this was, because apparently what it was, or what it could have been, was that Fox didn't want another USA Network belt on their program, and the Bloodline is mainly a SmackDown thing for some reason. They're just always on SmackDown, except for this past week when Sammy and Solo were on Raw. But the Usos are barely on Raw, Roman is barely on Raw, and if there was an issue with NXT and Fox, why couldn't they just have, and I labeled it this, but I don't mean it in this way, Why couldn't they have Bloodline Red and Bloodline Black? NWO
Oh
style,
God, here we go.
and Roman and the Usos could be on SmackDown, and Solo and Sammy could be on Raw, like they were this past week. And wouldn't that have been such an incredible thing to see the North American champion, Solo Sikoa, go after a specific title that involves North America on Raw,
Yeah,
the United States Championship. So Bobby Lashley versus Solo Sikoa at Extreme Rules for the United States Championship, to have Solo with both the North American Championship and the United States Championship, and have, the double belt thing of everybody in the bloodline except Sammy, which I think is wonderful that Sammy does not have any titles.
What Sammy needs to do is win the 24/7 championship. And if anytime somebody tries to take it from him, Solo just beats the snot out of him. And then for him, it's on the same pedestal of Roman holding the championship.
So I thought that was I loved that idea initially, but the segment that happened on Friday, the opening segment, where it was legitimately like one of the best things. It reinvigorated the Bloodline storyline for me.
Nothing can do that for me.
Well, I understand. Well, it's not. I guess I shouldn't say it reinvigorated the whole thing. It added this new wrinkle.
Y'all have heard my rant on that story. I don't need to go into it.
Yeah. So not pontificating at all, but
you have to pontificate.
So to have Solo and Sammy, so it's Sammy be. Oh, I'm getting taken out of the bloodline now, and Jey Uso played that role to perfection on Friday, to perfection. And I think it makes more sense for him not to have a title, but act like he is a 2-belt champion, just like Roman and the Usos. Because now what we saw on Raw is that he's throwing his weight around because he's in the bloodline. And I think
if I'm booking, I have Sami Zayn leave Mania champion, and I know exactly how you get there.
The thing I was going to say is that about the whole thing with the NXT title, North American, is that the major thing about it is that as much as WWE does not care about ratings, they slightly, even though they say it, they do. If anybody who has television and deals, they have to care, because WWE's television contract is coming up very quickly. So for me, it, like I keep saying it, and I've said this to Jameis and you, people who don't know who Solo Sikoa, who doesn't watch, I'm talking about what we talked about on NXT about this, is that if the people who do not watch NXT, but they watch strictly Friday Night SmackDown, right? They see him, they're like, oh, he has a title. Oh, he means something. And they say, yeah, he's part of the bloodline. Okay, he's part of Friday Nights. But he's on NXT, and you see him handle his own and go crazy and stuff. You're going to be that one person, be like, I like that guy. I like his style. You're going to follow him to NXT. That's the point. You're going to bring somebody who does not normally watch NXT, who watches either Raw or SmackDown, and you're going to bring them to NXT, which is going to raise their ratings and maybe make USA think, as a business standpoint, Raw's doing pretty good. NXT on Tuesdays is doing pretty good, and then it's just the whole circumference of the whole thing. I can't wait to see. They should have just did that, because you would literally have like the perfect person to go back and forth with that, and especially if Sammy goes back to NXT for a little bit with Solo, and they do like a whole tag team thing, because obviously Pretty Deadly has the unified titles. That would be an interesting thing too. I know that's a crazy thing. You're going to be like, well, that NXT is developmental and stuff. but as somebody who looks at both sides of the coin, that would be an interesting thing.
So I don't watch NXT, but I heard from Sour Graphs kind of like that wasn't an episode that I was sitting in on a lot, but what did they do with the Yes Boys where it kind of made them feel like they were a
Yes,
couple?
boy.
Did they do
Oh,
That's
something
God.
like
exact-
2 weeks ago? I fucking hate that, by the way. I
They-
don't like it
Dude,
at all.
pretty
They-
deadly rule.
I'm
They
sorry.
unified.
I don't get it. I don't get it. It's not interesting to me at all. Listen, I don't like the Luigi Primo stuff. I don't really care about that at all.
Yeah, make a best pizza.
Yeah, whatever. Helping
Wow, the please don't clip that and put it on Twitter. That's gonna get me canceled.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll get canceled
So
for that.
what did they do with the Yes Boys? Pretty Deadly. That people were insinuating that they were a couple on NXT. Were they like in bed
The
together?
vignette they did, yeah, the vignette they did that, and they were feeding each other and stuff like that. I'll send it to you. Hold on.
That's so terrible. I'm gay, by the way, so don't think it's me being homophobic or something. But I literally do not give a shit about the Yes Boys at all. Just there's nothing interesting about that to me at all. They just look like two Lord Farquaads. That's what I have said about them every time. It's not interesting to me. I don't get the Yes Boy thing, and I feel like I'm screaming at a cloud right now. But it's just, I'm sorry, I just don't get it. Somebody help me out here. Why is this interesting?
It's not. It really isn't.
Well,
Literally,
there we
when I
go.
was covering, when I was literally covering it, I just looked past it and stuff. So, I
You
mean,
like them? Why? And convince me why they're good. Why this is a thing?
Me?
Yeah.
They're just very charismatic and they're good bell to bell. They have a different look. They have a unique nowadays gimmick wise. They remind me a lot of early '90s Shawn. Just turned into a doubles act, which I guess is why they work so well under Shawn. Shawn was the one who pushed him in NXT UK, and then when Shawn takes over NXT, he starts pushing him again. That's what they remind me of, and it's hard to explain. It's hard to put into words in a succinct manner, and we're at 52 minutes here, so I don't really want to
well,
sermonize.
you have plenty of time.
I don't feel like admonishing you then, but I would go back and watch their NXT UK stuff from when they won the belts and then to when they lost the belts. If you don't find it interesting, then it's just not your cup of tea. But
Well,
it will do
okay.
everything you need to explain the current characters, everything, and get a deeper understanding of what they bring to the table.
I'm not going to, but I'll take your word for it. So yes, you mentioned the White Rabbit thing. I think that's probably one of the more interesting things in WWE television right now.
It needs to be Eater of Worlds.
It needs to be, because if it's not,
The Fiend,
woof.
I get it, Internet. You love The Fiend. The Fiend is the most overrated, one-dimensional.
Oh, you mean
book
okay?
with that character in wrestling right now, because The Fiend as a character doesn't take damage. So part of it's essentially Michael Myers thrown into pro wrestling, that type of slasher character. There's a reason that's never worked before. You need to have some kind of wrinkle to humanize the Fiend, or none of your opponents off, nobody he works with is going to get their offense over, their character over, or anything, because that's not what the character is. On top of that, he has to run through the entire roster as a character. But because he ran through the entire roster, in wrestling, you can't just not put him in the title picture. So the moment you put him in the title picture, you can't have him be champ for 3 years. But, his goal isn't the title in the first place. So when somebody runs through him and he loses the title, he gets right back up and he doesn't care about the title. So it buries your prop, it buries the title, and then it doesn't look good on whoever beats him because he didn't care if he lost or not. So he just let him run through him. Like, that's a character. And then there's not much story mileage you can do with Bray under a mask, where he's emotionless, he's expressionless. You've already jumped the shark on the burn thing. I could probably retcon that. I don't think there's much more mileage in the character than what you've already gotten. With the Eater of Worlds, there's a lot of places you can go with it. The original Bray Wyatt character, which actually did favors for everybody on the card. Triple H will not make the same booking mistakes Vince McMahon did, so you don't run into the issue. But it's much easier to book. There's a lot more mileage. There's a lot more dimensions to the character. The losses don't necessarily hurt him, but he can actually speak and give a reason as to why they don't hurt him. And it plays more to Bray's strengths than let me just run through everybody because I created a character that Vince McMahon can't misbook, and then Vince McMahon still finds a way to misbook. I think the Firefly Funhouse stuff was great. The Fiend stuff was great at first, and then it really jumped the shark. There is ways to make it interesting at first, but you're always going to run into the same roadblocks. Give me the character I know is going to be great long term, going to have a great program with everybody, and I can think of a number of stories off the top of my head. There is no more mileage you can get out of the Fiend. I was talking to Corey Brennan, Body News writer, about this the other day, because he was a big Fiend guy. And then he's like, and then I finally got him to go, yeah, the Fiend doesn't make sense. But the Firefly Funhouse is great. So I think we came up with a middle ground, and I'm going to read it off here. I sent him. I think there's a lot you can do here with a cult leader who doesn't know he's a cult leader. That's what the original Bray Wyatt character was, a cult leader. Yeah, and he knew it. So my idea is, Bray Wyatt is a cult leader. He's the original iteration of Bray Wyatt, but he doesn't know. So he goes out and recruits people. When the recruits come to the funhouse, he doesn't know he recruited them, and he doesn't know who they are. And these are the people that the White Rabbit target. And so you kind of still get that split personality stuff they were doing with the Fiend, but it fits a better character. And
Plus,
then when it starts to get stale, you have the obvious wrinkle. I'm sorry, I can't hear myself over the background noise. When it starts to get stale at that point, and there's not much stuff to do with that specific story, you have an obvious wrinkle from there with the Firefly guy realizing he is the cult leader, because every character needs that moral dilemma of right versus wrong. And when he realizes he is the evil that that the Firefly Funhouse guy doesn't like, he has to deal with that. There's a years worth of story you can tell there. You don't have that with the Fiend. I do not want that character back. I think it'd make for garbage television after about 3 months, which is about at the length it was good the previous go out.
I honestly think that, and even people have been making pictures of this, and that it would be awesome to see this as another faction of like the Firefly Funhouse, and James is already winking at this.
I know exactly what it is.
Yeah, the Firefly
Funhouse.
Funhouse.
The Rabbit is Killer Cross, and then it's all different Alice and Wonder characters from the Funhouse.
Yeah. And then you still have Alexa back into it too. So
dude, that Alexa Bliss character was not good. They need to go back. They've started to go back. They need to stick with that, because she got really bad toward the end with all this supernatural stuff they were doing.
So I want to say
Winchester to get that demon out of her.
I want to say that I'm going to agree and disagree, which is like what you did to me before. So it would be more compelling for the Eater of Worlds character to be the White Rabbit versus the Fiend. I do agree with that. Because that's more layered storytelling, and it is the cult leader thing, I think, is more of a well-rounded character versus the Fiend. Because the Fiend is one-dimensional.
There's only so much you can do with the Fiend.
I think where I disagree is I'm actually like Corey. I am a Fiend guy. I really like the Fiend a lot, and I know that the turning point.
This guy had his icon as the Fiend for the longest time too.
I had it as Firefly Funhouse Bray Wyatt. That's what I had it as. But that goes hand in hand with the Fiend pretty much.
Yeah. Which I would keep Firefly. I've already mentioned that.
So the day the Fiend was killed
With Seth Rollins.
was when he got put in the title picture immediately.
And
It
that's
was
the
a
issue.
Vince McMahon booking decision that was terrible. Led to the worst Hell in a Cell match ever.
Which says a lot.
With the dumbest fucking finish. We're coming up on 3 years of that because Dynamite had just started and the crowd was chanting AEW. It was the worst finish imaginable. And then they do the Crown Jewel or whatever it was. I think it was Crown Jewel, where
Yeah.
they put the title on him.
On
And then
Halloween.
a couple months later,
Bill Goldberg
basically
happened.
gets squashed by Goldberg. So this was all a Vince McMahon thing. And I feel like a lot of the hate that goes to the Fiend character is because of the Vince McMahon booking. And if it's Triple H, who knows much more in a better way to book characters to their strengths, he's using Cross in the right way. He's using Braun in the right way. He's using these people that he's brought back right.
And here's why I'm going to disagree with you because I see where you're going. Those are more traditional professional wrestling characters. A character like The Fiend, he doesn't need to be in the title picture right away. But the moment he is, he has to win. You can't. The goal, if somebody's running through your roster, you can only keep them away from the title picture for so long. Ultimately, that's not The Fiend's goal. And then you're just going to continue, no matter how you book it. Eventually, you're going to run into that same dead end that Vince McMahon just expedited. And that character's always going to have that issue because it's an inherent flaw that goes against the very basis of the pro wrestling business of making your opponent look good and being able to tell stories where you can take the heat off of you. You cannot take the heat off of that character. It's too one-dimensional, and that's why they will always run into the same issue because it's a character that has to be strong 24/7, and there's no way it can't be. Whereas Bray Wyatt, the original character, didn't need to be. And the original Bray Wyatt was a Triple H creation, and that's why I trust Triple H to not mess it up. The Bray Wyatt creation, there's no way around that booking. You're always going to have the same end game with the same problems. That's just the nature of the character, and
So
that's
you
why those
think
characters don't work.
you think that even if Triple H says, "Okay, we bring the Fiend back and we don't make the Fiend a title-driven character, and it's just instill the fear in my opponents," you think that's still not a good idea?
What long-term story is there for the character? Great, he can instill the fear in his characters, but you run into the Undertaker issue, and I think the Undertaker is a completely different character. He was a lot more humanized, and that's why it worked. But you run into this issue with every supernatural character. After a while, before '96, they did not want to put the Undertaker in the title picture. So what was he doing every month? Oh, let's just put him against every big man who can theoretically physically imposing enough. Nobody was interested in the character because there was no end goal for the character, and that's why they had to create Kane eventually. So the idea, and the Undertaker was never in the title picture, but until the Undertaker went to ABA and gave himself the far more human element, where was the interest in the Undertaker character? Because it was waning until Kane came around. Because those characters never have mileage. There's no long-term story you can tell with the Fiend character that's interesting. Great. He beat whichever opponent. Now he's on to the next opponent where he does the same exact thing with that opponent. Then he's on to the next opponent where he does the same exact thing with that opponent. It's never going to deviate from the script. It's going to be the same script for however long Bray Wyatt's under contract. And you're going to have the same issues over and over again because there's no new, you can only tell one story and just with a different person in the one role. Like, there is no long-term story you can tell with that character. I think it's an overrated character. And I like The Fiend.
So what if? Sorry, I just want to say this one more thing. What if they made the Fiend human?
How do you do that?
Instead of what I mean by this is, instead of the Fiend being this mystical fake, in a sense, not real person, but just like a monster, that's not a obvious, well, like what Kane was in the beginning. It's just like, this isn't a human, this is a monster.
So you take away everything that made the Fiend in the first place, and you don't know if it's gonna get over or not.
I'm saying that the Fiend becomes obviously Bray Wyatt in a mask.
I like how I'm trying to get a word in and it's hard to. I'm
Oh.
enjoying this.
The Fiend.
So I'm saying, like, so
The
what happened?
aura of the Fiend was that it wasn't that. You're completely changing the character and what made the character, and you have no idea if that's going to translate or not. It's something different, but that's still not the Fiend. And
Well,
the
because
essence of what the Fiend was.
I'm saying it because the Fiend was the character of the Fiend
Was the mind of Bray Wyatt coming to life.
Right. But it is Bray Wyatt.
Right.
So the Fiend can be
the only way that works
psychotic
is if
Bray
you make
Wyatt.
the Fiend the Eater of Worlds version of Finn Balor's demon, where it only comes out after so long after you do so much to him.
Well,
That's not a bad idea.
I think that would work.
Go back. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I want him to talk because he's been trying to. Go ahead.
I think the more I go through it, the more you go, yeah, maybe this character, you don't have much mileage out of it. As you
the thing is that it, with the White Rabbit stuff and everything, it makes it a lot interesting. Hell, that shirt's up on WWE shop right now, and it's doing really well too. But I'm excited for Extreme Rules. I know I'm going to start wrapping stuff up because we've gone through an hour and stuff, and
That's true.
Big Daddy Throwback needs to cuddle up and get some sleep because I got work in the morning. All I gotta say is that I'm excited for Extreme Rules. Other than that, the other reason is our champion has a challenger, and we need to set that up where both of them can actually do a face-off and actually make their picks.
What did you just say? What did he say?
No,
I thought it could be Drew's ass.
Not yet.
It's Anakin JMT.
Yeah, because they talked a lot of crap in the tournament. So
unless Anakin does what Anakin does to kids with the lightsaber, he ain't stand a chance.
Okay. Well, we already got him last time we were on the air with all the the cameos and stuff like that. But anyways, we're gonna have that soon. We're gonna set that up real quickly. We got to get back on the ball on that. Then I'm gonna say my stuff. Follow me on every Tuesday night NXT post show for bodyslam.net. Here on Thursday nights, Wicked Crazy Pinfalls. We've been slacking a little bit. Life's gotten in the way a little bit, but so comment, like, and subscribe. Help out. We're close to affiliate on Twitch, but we need more people to talk. So spread the word if you can. The champion will defend that title, and it will be more frequently going forward into the new year. We and him just have to figure out what pay-per-views work, because he still has part of the ruling, and I re-looked at the book. He gets to pick the pay-per-views. I can set up the challenger. That's it. So I kind of
I didn't pick Halloween Havoc. I'm just gonna say that right now.
Yeah. Yeah, Halloween
I
Havoc.
Ain't watching that fucking show. So.
Yeah, well, still, it's going to be fun, and it's something different. We're going to find some new creative stuff going into getting closer to the 3rd year anniversary, which is insane that we've been doing this for almost 3 years. Other than that, do a good deed, pay it forward. James, tell me where they can find you.
Well, follow me on Twitter at the Jameis. You can find me every other Monday on We Talk Indies with Ash Nova and Tiff, Queen of the Indies. We have some big things coming up, and I don't know if we can announce this yet, but I've got us, so I wish me luck.
Breaking news.
We are actually just joined a Patreon, so more on that coming on, I assume, the next episode. So follow me on Twitter for more details on that. Everything I do, of course, with Body Slam, outside of Body Slam. I tweet a lot. Sorry.
All hail the defending champion for the podcast community. The only way they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter at Big Money Drew, and I'm in a couple of places now that I didn't anticipate, really. One of them was a complete surprise. I think next Thursday, either next Thursday or the Thursday after, I will be doing an AEW show. Yes, you could call me an AEW show, I guess. I'm wearing a hat. With Love Wrestling.
You're all elite.
I am all a Love Wrestling.
Yeah, and it still shows the fact that that title's still right behind him. So he's bringing that title everywhere.
That's right.
God
At least
damn,
for one
that's the
week.
way it was.
I don't know when Halloween Havoc is, nor do I care. But it's I'll have that for at least 1 week on the Love Wrestling podcast. So yes, I'll be doing that with JPJ over at Love Wrestling. I am occasionally on the Monday Roundtable Pro Wrestling podcast with Body Slam.
Shout out to those boys.
Usually I'm on Friday.
He said he'd be right back, but it's been 40 minutes.
I know. He said he was on a work call, so it probably got taken up. And I will be on Busting Out.
You're busting out, Drew?
Not that. Not that. Chris Parrish and Bobby Munson, they do.
I love Parrish.
Throwback was on the first one.
I was honored to be the first guest ever on that show.
The last time I did a Wiki Crazy, Drew and I sat with Chris Parrish for like 6 hours after it went off air.
Yes, and we had a conversation I will not talk about again.
Not
even
publicly.
talk about it. Don't bring it up.
Hey, what time? I saw you got the time zones down in the chat.
Yeah. I will never have that conversation again. Yeah, so I will be on that show. That's on
I blame
Sunday.
Craig.
Blame Craig. That's right. I forgot about that. So I will be on that show, Busting Out, on Sunday. This Sunday, I believe it's at 1 p.m. And I got an official word. I will also be on Tom Talks Rubbish show. We are going to be doing that show. That's not live, but I'm going to be recording that with him on Wednesday. I don't know when that's going to go out. But he's a lovely guy.
You're not the only one that did one.
Oh, you did one too. That's right.
Yeah. I can't wait. And I have this. I forgot to announce it. The next guest on this show is going to be Dom and Tom on Wicked Crazy Pinfalls.
We still got to do that Morishima Danielson show.
Oh God, yes, we do.
Very, very nice. Very nice.
But Drew's basically covering every aspect of the podcasting community.
The Love Wrestling thing was a legitimate surprise that I did not expect, and I said, you know what? Yes, I will do it. So I'm really happy to have joined them. So go follow Love Wrestling at Love Wrestling CA. LPW is tomorrow night. I believe it's LPW 8 on the Twitch channel, Love Wrestling CA. And yeah, look at me. I made it.
I guess I am the NXT of podcasting. God damn it. Other than that,
and I'm getting married on October 14th. So that's
I know.
The biggest announcement.
Yeah, other than that, just enjoy the day. Life's too short.
Congratulations to Drew.
Yeah, pay it forward, guys.
That's big money for that party.
Brody, I love you. I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.